Hello again, I wanted to go over a few things of this bicycle that I bought. It is from the Stevens website, the 2021 model of the P18. So Stevens is a German brand and it's not really common in the Netherlands, which is why I didn't really find one for sale online or online you search, of course, then you can go to bike shop, or online you can buy second hand or search second hand, but better to say. And I found other brands, but usually very expensive, such as the one from Santos, which is a Dutch brand, but they have their frames made in China or Taiwan. So yeah, I don't see why that bike is supposed to cost 7,000 euros. That's just a ridiculous price. This is actually far more reasonable. This is the 2021 model, as I said, and price is said to have been 4,000 euro at the time. The 2022 model, that's this, doesn't have a suspension front fork anymore, which is a pity. It was 4,200. So if I had looked last year, then I would have needed to find a model from the previous year. Otherwise, I would not have been interested in this bike or these bicycles from this manufacturer using a stiff front fork, because I wanted a suspension front fork, especially for bad roads, making long trips over bad roads. Not as bad as the trips from Chernivtsi or to Kamianets-Podilsky, but that was really extreme. I didn't enjoy that at all, but the bike held up perfectly, I have to say. So I'll go over a few things. So the bike, you can see all the specifications, which is useful, for example, for why doesn't it work? Yeah, okay. It shows you everything at once, and that's useful to check what you need for replacements, such as brake pads. I already made a list of things I want, such as pinion oil. I will need that. A spare belt, which is 113 teeth. What else? Brake pads, yes, as I mentioned. So for this, I searched what the brake pads should be. It says, by the way, weight 15.6 kilogram for touring bike. That's excellent. It's a pity that there is no possibility to put a bottle cage here on the bottom. So then you can have 3. But I think, as I mentioned in the video about the thermos bottles, my next idea is going to be, in the panniers, put a 2-liter thermos bottle and a standard bottle here and a thermos bottle here. I think that will be a really good combination. So they say here that there could be, because of problems with the delivery chain, that some parts may be different from the specifications, and the seat posts, for example, and the saddle are different, but it could have been replaced by the buyer. The kickstand is different. It's an Ursus, which is a Dutch brand, whereas here it's supposed to be a Pletcher. And the only issue I had with the Ursus is that I could not put the bike like at a big enough angle that I felt under all circumstances it would stay safe. I thought it was just a little, just not quite enough possibility to set the angle. Now, one interesting thing here is the Knog Oi so it's the bell. It's Knog Oi, and so it has a shape like this, and it works, but does not work very well. The issue I have is exactly what I saw mentioned in reviews. 1, it is not loud enough. 2, it does not last enough, because the spring that's attaches the clapper to the rest of the bell was bent, and I thought, yeah, no, that's not very good. And there are a few other things, tiny things. I don't think it's constructed well enough. I also did not really like the sound, but it is very narrow. It's very interesting concept. Now let's look at one more thing, bike sizes. So usually bike sizes are indicated with frame height. However, the most important thing is this, which is C, which is the virtual horizontal top tube. That is, of course, because you can move the seat post up and down and thus the saddle up and down. So the frame height is actually not interesting. The only important thing about it is if the frame becomes very small, then you need a really long seat post. And sometimes you can't get that. In my Cannondale Touring, for example, I have a medium-sized frame, but I need a 40 centimeter long seat post. Yeah, frame sizes. So this bike was made in 52, 55, 58 and 61 centimeters. I have the 58 version. And now let's look at the virtual horizontal top tube. 57.5, 59, 60.5 and 61.7 centimeters. That is only 4.2 centimeters, something like this, difference in the horizontal top tube. Now if you think about people, what size are average people? I would say for women something around 165. In the West it is. In Asia it will be smaller, men will be smaller, women are a bit smaller. But this is about the West, so Netherlands, Germany, Poland, etc. What size are women's? Around 165, I would say, 165 to 170. And men, 175, 185, something in that region. And the top end is approximately 190. There are very rare exceptions of people being taller than that. It does not happen much. So let's take 160 to 190. That's 30 centimeters. That means for the torso length, you need approximately half that difference in variability to adjust the bike to different size people. That means about 15 centimeters. Perhaps a bit less because of the angles, and you can always adjust a bit with a different handlebar, etc. But it's only 4.2 centimeters. But the frame size is 9 centimeters. This is more like it. That should be the difference for the horizontal top tube, the virtual horizontal top tube, because this slopes. That is weird. The same problem with several other brands, especially Cannondale and other American brands have this. Why don't they take into account the average size of people? It's weird. Okay, that's that. What I else wanted to say? Pinion, yeah, it's of course almost optimal. As I calculated before I used it, I came to the conclusion of about of what would be the optimal gear step size based on the cadence range that you find comfortable, so the pedaling frequency. From that you can calculate what the gear step size should be. I made 2 videos about that, and I've posted a lot on my website about it. And this is really almost optimal. So there are no issues with the gear step size for me. It feels natural all the time. It's really good. Only thing I don't really like is the clunky second free wheel. So if you pedal here backwards, then the belt does not move. So there's a free wheel in here, and if you engage again, sometimes hear a crunch. Yeah, okay, is that okay? This is an interesting website. It is about Stevens P18 Lite, which is a variant of this one. I don't know exactly the differences and which one was introduced, but this one is for 2014 and it updates with some changes in the bicycle, in the product line of Stevens. But he also discusses things like die Geräusche, the noises. This site is, by the way, in German, but there is an automatic translation. So if you want English, then just use the translation. So it goes about various topics: fine tuning, switching gears, the belt, noises, overall conclusion and tips, long time endurance test of the bike, but also of the pinion, oil change, de bodenzug und schoutzug hüllenwechsel. That's it's the cables, the mechanical cables to switch to if you want to change those. What else? There's a different type of grip, DS1 to DS2, which is recent. The DS2 is from 2020, I think, 2021, something like that. There's a slight change in it. Anyway, this is a very long page. If you are interested in buying a bike with pinion gearbox, then I would say read this. And if you use one, then it's also useful, for example, for the noises that the pinion can make, because I didn't really experience noise with the pinion, only with the second freewheel, as I mentioned. It goes also into the sync, which is from Tout-Terrain, also a German manufacturer. Schaltbremse system. Dit means the up-down press switching with two levers, just as you do with a cassette-based system, but it only works for the C12, the C line, 6, 9 and 12 gears. So the P18, they say that because of the different construction, there is no trigger switch in view, so to come probably recently. I have not really had an issue with the trigger, with the rotational shifter. I don't particularly like them, but it works well enough with the P18. I did not find it really annoying. Very different from the roll-off up, where I think it's way too heavy going. Okay, that's it for now. Bye.